Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. Today I'm going to be using the Scandinavian Christmas stamps and dies, as well as the potted poinsettia stamps and dies. Looking at these sets, you may think that they don't really go together with their styles, but the Scandinavian Christmas is really kind of versatile. And so we're going to be doing more of a minimalist, clean and simple style card, I guess. For non-holidays, you could totally swap out the poinsettias with some other type of flower and the layout would still be really nice. That's what I mean. Like, it's super versatile. And it's mostly solid stamps, and the rest of the team has done some really awesome things with it as well. But I am going to be using it to kind of accent this poinsettia. So first, I'm stamping down everything in our Intense Black ink. This is safe for alcohol markers, and I'm going to be coloring the flowers with my Copics. So I stamp those down, and then I'm going to be doing gold accents. So the other two branches are going to be gold, as well as the frame. This frame is a little bit thin for this particular card design. It totally makes sense when used with the set, but for this card design, it is a little bit thin. So instead of stamping it in gold and then heat embossing it, you could just use the dies to cut it out of like a gold brushed or mirrored cardstock, and it would be a bit thicker. So that's just something to keep in mind. I am stamping in our new gold metallic pigment ink, and then I will also be heat embossing with gold over top of it as well, and adding a few little sections of gold to the black branches just because it kind of fell on there, and then I was like, hey, that's kind of pretty, so I just embraced it. In the description, you may have noticed that I talked about the gallon pint quart color theory rule, and I did kind of follow that, and so I did want to kind of touch base on it. That whole rule, and not that you have to follow the rules, but it does work well if you're struggling with card design, is that you use a gallon of one color, a quart of another, and then a pint of another. So a lot, a medium amount, and a little bit. And so that is what I did with this card. And because it is such a minimalist style, you really want to be kind of on point with your stamping and with your embossing for it to look clean. If it's not, it's going to look a little bit sloppy. And so that's why in stamping in the gold ink and then embossing on top of it, like, I'm sure it's going to be solid. It's going to be filled in. I'm going to be happy with it. And you can see I'm messing around with this a ton just to make sure everything is looking the way that I want it to look. And anywhere that I have embossing powder that I don't want it, I am going to go in and clean it up with a dry paintbrush. That's also how I'm going to knock off some of the gold embossing on the black leaves. So if you watch our live, I was live on the Honeybee channel this past Thursday. This is my official apology to you. If you missed it, don't worry, you didn't miss a whole lot. It was pretty much a disaster. Technology got the better of me, and technology is great until it's not. And because I had never gone live on YouTube before, I had some issues, and it was super frustrating, and I was super aggravated, and I was positive I was going to swear on live YouTube, but I didn't, so yay me. But yeah, it was super frustrating, but we did learn a lot. I will be, Amy is going to be doing some lives as well. Kelly, who normally does them, is out of town. And so a couple of us others from the team are kind of stepping in to help out. And Amy's amazing. So make sure you check out her lives. They do them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then my next live for Honeybee will actually be on November 10th, I think, is a Thursday. That'll be the next time I'm up, and I have learned some things. So let me share them with you in case you also want to do a live. If you schedule it, you have to do it from your phone if you want to go live from your phone. I scheduled it from my laptop, not knowing that. And then so consequently, when it came time to go live, I couldn't. unless I wanted to go live on my laptop, which is ultimately what I decided to do. But then nobody could hear me. I was muted. Do I know why I was muted? No, I do not. I have no idea why. But so then I had to just close it down and restart it. So then let's talk about the card real quick. So I've colored the centers with my usual yellow combination. And then here, the veins of the poinsettia are drawn into this particular stamp set. That's the style. It's just a more stylized look. And so I'm going to fill it all in with my lightest color. And then I'm only going to add shading to the open areas. So the parts that are kind of in between that are the veins, I'm going to leave this lightest color. And I'm not really going to add too much shading to it. And I guess to make it, to kind of highlight those areas. And I thought it would be pretty, and I was pretty happy with the way that it came out. So the shading will be the same, lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest, and then adding shading where the petals meet, or one petal lays on top of another. That will be where I, add my shading just like we usually do. This is the only colored element, and it is the gallon that I am using because it's just such a large element on my card. So my red is my gallon, my quart is probably my gold, and the black is the pint. It's really just an accent color. But I think keeping it, pretty simple and pretty minimal with the coloring in the focal point really kind of... I was really happy with the way that the card came out, and it didn't take very long, and it didn't, it just looked more elegant. And so you'll have to let me know what you think of it. It's a little different than my usual style. So I had to shut down off the laptop, and then I switched over to my phone, but then I couldn't get the orientation correct. I apparently, and I'm in the meantime, I'm like behind the scenes, I am texting Amy, I am texting Lisa, the other some of the girls from Honeybee, and like none of us can figure it out. So I can't get the orientation correct. I'm trying multiple different ways. And then somebody else was like, it's fixed. So whatever orientation you start the live in is apparently the orientation it stays in. So she's like, close it out and do it again. So that's what I did. And for some reason, it still was not in the correct orientation. So, and then I don't even know what was there was something going on in the comments, and I'm not really sure what it was, but there was people like, don't be rude to me, I wasn't rude to you, something like that. And then I had to put on my mom voice, which really probably was due... You ever just like one thing aggravates you and then the next thing, and then maybe you come up a little bit too much? I kind of felt like I came off a little bit too much, and I didn't necessarily mean to. So if you were those people in the comments, I also apologize to you. But I was like super aggravated with the whole technology thing, and then people were kind of being a little snarky or snappy with each other, and I was like, oh my gosh, just stop that. Stop doing it. But anyway, so... I ended up doing this entire live where we colored the Saint Nick stamp, which is totally adorable, in portrait mode. Oh, it was in portrait. I was working in like a 3x5 section on my desk. Like, it was not very large at all. But we did it. We did it and made it through. And like, sometimes you just got to overcome them obstacles. And everybody was very gracious, and I genuinely appreciate it. Like, they were so kind and patient while I tried to figure it out. But the replay is up if you want to watch it. I don't know. I will probably come back to revisit Saint Nick and color him up again in maybe more of this format where I'm doing, a voiceover and everything is a little bit more in my control. But yeah, it was totally wild. It was not... It was fun to like talk to people and chat with them, and like I had my laptop set up so I could hear or read all the comments. But that little teeny tiny area was just not like, it is shot like a reel, which is not the best for seeing the details. So yeah, I apologize if you were a witness to that. I clearly have some things to learn about going live on YouTube before I venture into it again. And then my husband had to stay at work that night because they had a thing going on for Halloween. And so my mother-in-law was here in case Caitlin woke up. But because I was in here, like the live went live at 8:30, I was trying to get everything set up, so I came in here at 8 to do it, and I was on the struggle bus already because I had no idea what I was going to do. I had tried for like 3 days in a row 3 different things that I thought maybe I could do on the live, and nothing was coming out the way that I wanted it to. And so literally started this live with no idea what I was going to create at all. So it was just like, from the beginning, it was trouble. And my intention was to like get my phone set up, get everything set up so that I could go live at 8:30. But Caitlin goes to bed around 8. And my mother-in-law actually ended up putting her to bed. I didn't even get to kiss her goodnight. It made me sad because I was trying to figure out how to do this live. And it took me so long. I was like Googling things. It took me so long to figure it out. I thought it was going to be much more straightforward, and it was not. That it took me literally right up until the minute that it started. So it was a little bit overwhelming. I felt very much out of my element. I literally wanted to cry, and I was like, you're live. You cannot cry for all of these people to see you. But that is how I felt. That is what I wanted to do. I wanted to just cry about it. So here, all of the coloring is done for the flower. These are pretty bold black outline themselves, so I did not outline them. I'm just going to go ahead and die cut them out. The frame, and this is true of the circle as well in that set, you can either cut it out as a frame or you can cut it out as a full, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as a full hexagon, or as a circle. And, yeah, I think they're super cute. I thought about doing it as not a frame and doing it as just the solid hexagon because really it was on top of white. But I don't know. It felt like it would look different. I know that seems silly that it feels like it would look different, but I just thought that it would. So I didn't. I did cut it out as a full frame. So now I'm trying to figure out my sentiment. I ended up going with one from the potted poinsettia set, which says from our family to yours. I apologize that you didn't see me stamping it. It's because I forgot to unpause my camera. So now I just stamped it in black. And now we're going to do a bunch of layers. This isn't normally my go-to kind of thing for the layers. But I wanted all of the colors represented. And I needed to fill up a little bit of that space. So that's how that decision was made. So here, I just have some gold. This is the brushed gold cardstock from Concord and Ninth, which is amazing. Probably one of my new favorites. And I just cut that slightly smaller than my black cardstock, which is an A2 size. And then for the white, I decided I didn't want to mess around with all the little pieces, parts, and popping them up. So I was just going to pop up the whole panel. And I am using this extra large foam tape. And I told you guys in a previous video that this was like super sticky. And one of you had made the suggestion of using a liquid adhesive on the back of it. So I used my honeybee glue on the back of it. And you are correct. It gave me so much more wiggle room. And I so appreciate that. So thank you so much for sharing your tip with me. Super, super worked well. Great, great, awesome tip. So here I'm laying everything out. I knew that in order for it to be in the center, my hexagon wasn't going to be in the center because my poinsettia was so large. So I needed to kind of lay it out beforehand to make sure that everything was where I needed it to go, really for the hexagon placement. And so I'm just tucking everything in there and just trying to figure out where that needs to go. And you can see it is off center and like down to the left. And that's just, like I said, because that poinsettia is so large that I need enough room for the whole focal point to be centered and not the hexagon centered and then everything else kind of off kilter. So I'm just adding glue in the center of this poinsettia cluster because I still need to tuck those branches back in, and I will be using my honeybee tweezers to do that. So I'm adding my glue to the back of it. I'm just going to lift up the poinsettia, tuck my little branch in, and glue it down. And then once my branches are down, I'll go back in and add adhesive to the edges of those flowers to make sure that everything sticks down and holds really nicely. But this is different. This is different than what I normally do. And I have to say that I was pretty happy with how it looked. I do love a clean and simple card. I knew that when I started card making, and that has not changed. I'm still a big fan. You'll have to tell me whether or not this is your vibe or not. So here, adding that adhesive in just to make sure everything sticks nice down flat, you know, how they're supposed to. So it stays together when you mail it. Here, I did mess around quite a bit with trying to figure out where I wanted to put the sentiment on it. I was like up and to the left, down and to the right, maybe in the center, here, there. And, you know, I think this is an important part of, you know, card making, to show that it isn't always like, well, I instantaneously know where I want to put it and my card is perfect. That's not the case. I mess around with it just like everybody else does. I knew that I had a little bit of like a blank area in the bottom, and so I'm using our new gems, from the Make It Merry release, and they have some traditional red, but then they also have some dark red, like some garnet colored gems, and I really liked those. So I decided I was going to go with that, adding to that gallon, you know, as my red, as my gallon, and then I added some shimmer, because you know that's what I do. I'm sure somebody is going to make a comment on this video that I've said 1,600 times, and I have. But clearly you've never watched a Kelly Taylor video before, because you would know that I always say and so and they're my best friends. In the centers, I used a gold gel pen just to add a little bit more shimmer, and then that's it. That's the whole card. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I genuinely appreciate you. If you missed it, I am teaching in the online card classes. I am doing a giveaway that will be pulled tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow being October 30th. That is on my channel, on my community page. If you would like to try to win a spot there. And that's it. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I will catch you on the next video. Bye.